Welcome everybody to the new user webisode series here at Buildertrend. My name is Wojtowicz and with me today is Taylor Henne. And this first episode, we're going to focus on getting the team on board, which is a really important topic when you're trying to adopt software. Where do we start? What features in Buildertrend should we begin using immediately? What do we need to do in order to get our team to buy in? Taylor, we have a lot of experience talking to clients when they get into Buildertrend and they say, what do we do? Where do we go? And hopefully today we can give people some answers about what can we do when we get started with Buildertrend. So let's start with the foundation. Like when you're building a house and you're getting the plans drawn, you're bringing in your clients to discuss what their choices are going to be. That's what your process is going to look like when you're a new user here at Buildertrend. You're going to meet your support team and you're going to have a conversation. We call it a consultation call with your account executive. And you're going to get into the details. What are your pain points? What are the things that you're trying to accomplish with your business? Obviously, you've signed up for a new software. And so you're taking a bit of a leap of faith and you've put your investment into Buildertrend. Are you having communication issues? Are you missing deadlines on your schedule? Is it a file management issue? Is it as simple as just right now you're running your business out of a bin in the back of your storage closet? And is it more operationally based around the actual construction process? Is it leads that you're losing? Is it the bid process that you're having this? And for a lot of you, this is a theme that, it's maybe more than one thing that is really the problem. Taylor, if you were getting started with a software and you were trying to figure out where you would want to start, what would you do? What would you try and figure out when you're trying to go through it?
Well, and that's like one of the hardest questions to ask yourself, because it's a lot of those things, and if not every one of them, that we can improve in. We might be efficient in something, but we are always, there's always room for improvement in any of these areas and many more areas. So one of the things that I think we do a great job here at Buildertrend in that consultation call that you said is let us help you try to decide what things to attack first. If you try to attack all of these things all at once, it's going to be chaotic, you might fail, and you might just be like, you know what, this is too much, and cancel. But you have a support team here, you have us, you have lots of resources. Let us help you guys dial down what it is that you need, and let's take it kind of step by step. And you have a lot of insight with that. You used to be an on-site consultant and actually travel around to help people implement Buildertrend, and I think you've repeated that to me multiple times.
Yeah, exactly, and that's a big piece of this process is you're not alone. When you're going through this identifying period of where we're trying to improve, at Buildertrend we call that your desired outcomes. So there's no right or wrong thing to say as far as this is what I want to prioritize, but that's the important part, the prioritization that needs to occur in order to get the plan going and get it and moving with your team. So let's kind of back up and talk about what features then within those pain points are places that a lot of our users are going to start with. So when we're talking about getting the team on board and we're thinking about specific things within Buildertrend that you're trying to achieve and solve problems for, user settings and notifications, daily logs and to-dos, files and scheduling, change orders and lead management. That's going to be your core features that are going to really get you started, get you moving in the program. And the beautiful thing about all of this is later in the series, we'll talk about how you can do all this from your mobile app. So you don't have to be stuck in the office. You don't have to be away from the office. It's an entire ecosystem that you're going to be able to take advantage of when it comes to your day-to-day use of the program. Taylor, when we're getting started with the system, what's your favorite feature to start with? I mean, if you were one place you wanted to go, I've picked my desired outcomes. I know my pain points. What are you training on?
Well, for me, I would say schedule, because I think that the schedule is a very powerful feature in Buildertrend,
right,
and it can affect the entire company, like kind of all at once. So I think that's a really good one to start with. But ironically, like all of the customers I talk to, it's usually about like users and notifications, because they're so scared that when they start this software that it's going to notify everybody, but you have full control over it. And I think that setting like notifications and things is a really good place to start and get your users activated, and then we can start building out the schedule and give them some content to look at when they get logged in.
Yeah, and it's a little tricky when we're getting started in the software, because when you think about it, it's like, I want my team to use it. I want them to see the value in it. And it's like, let's look at notifications.
Yeah.
But it's important, and it's something that it seems small, but if the program is actively reaching out to you and poking your team members, if they don't understand the context, if you don't curate what those notifications are, you can quickly run into a situation where too many notifications are being fired out of the system, and they can be a turnoff. It can be something that it's too much, I don't need this, I don't understand it, I'm gonna turn away. So let's actually look in the program really quick and talk about a quick way that you can start to tweak those notifications and get things kind of moving in that foundation in the right direction. And then we'll jump and kind of take a look at that schedule just to give you an idea of the context, the power, and the things that it can really do. So I'm gonna click into the program here, and whenever you're in Buildertrend, you always have to kind of get your bearings. So when you log in, if you haven't logged in yet, or if you've been using us for a little bit of time, it's kind of like, whoa, like there's a lot of stuff going on. And so I always like to draw people's attention to the home base, which is the job picker over here on the left-hand side. This has been with Buildertrend since the beginning, the job picker. And really, if you think about Buildertrend from a structural standpoint, it's a fancy folder system. Every job is a folder. So it's not that different than like your manila folder that you might have in your truck that you're writing the schedule and information about your client or whatever your project manager or superintendent might do to run their day-to-day. Buildertrend works the same way. So I'm just gonna choose this job off the left in order to kind of say like, this is where I'm at. Now, there are some other parts of the program that kind of live above needing a job, and user notifications is one of them. So if I go up to internal users in the top right-hand corner, and the silhouette is what we call it there, you'll see your list of users. Now, if you don't have any users yet, you can add them at this time by hitting this new internal user button, which will then let you just fill out their information quickly. You can put their email address, invite them. We do recommend to get all your users set up, at least invited, so that they can start getting in here and playing around with it a little bit. But that's the next piece is, okay, what role should they actually have? And so Buildertrend does come with stock roles that we've kind of determined that most users fit a profile towards. You can customize these roles, and it is a very simple process if you click Manage Roles if you'd like to go through and set up your own. But for now, let's just choose a user that's already set up. We have Ben Gantt here as a full admin, which means he would have full access to everything in the program. And then in that user profile, we'll see notifications. And going back to my point earlier, it's important to understand the program is going to pump out stuff from an email, from text messaging if you want, or even a push notification if you do download the app. And push notifications are my favorite. Taylor, which notification do you like the most?
Hands down, the push notifications.
Yep, we're on the same page.
Interactive, right to your phone.
Yeah.
It's how we handle our like live notifications as well, just like a Facebook notification or something like that, and it's a push.
Yeah, so it pops up on their phone, they click it, it takes them into the app. And emails obviously are great too because it leaves a record and it's something a little easier to store away. So just keep that in mind. Like, it's okay to have both, but tweak it a little bit. Go through their user profile and say, do they need to be able to view this particular element of the schedule or of daily logs or to-dos? And I'd invite you to bring your team into this as well. And that's a mistake that I see people make a lot, is they don't necessarily ask their team members, like, what do you want to get out of the system? And there's a balance there, of course. You need to set expectations for your employees, but you also need to give them a voice. When you're making these changes, it's a lot easier, even here at Buildertrend, if we have a new process. Oof. If our boss comes to us and is like, do this, we're kind of like, whoa, man.
Yeah.
Versus if you give us a little input, what do you guys think? Here's what we're talking, or here's what we're deciding.
Right.
We tend to soften the blow a little bit. So a notification is a nice, easy place when you're getting started.
I agree.
And also gives them an ability to kind of have some ownership and decide for themselves, like, what am I actually getting out of this system?
Right.
And
it makes it kind of feel real too, because you're like seeing your own people in the program, you're getting things going, you're able to assign them to things as you're kind of messing around. But I did want to add to the notification thing. It is important to only choose notifications that I feel like you should take action on. So only assign notifications that you need to take action on, because you always have the ability to just go look. Like, yeah, there's a new daily log added, but there's going to be multiple daily logs added a day. Do I need to get notified every single time? Or at the end of my day, can I just go in, click on that job, and go look at the daily log? So just remember that just because you didn't get notified doesn't mean you're not going to be informed. You still can go in program and look at it. So I always stress things that you just have to take action on. If there's a new purchase order and you need to get it approved by the sub and that's your responsibility, yeah, get notified. But that would be my 2 cents on the notification piece.
Yeah, it's a great point. And something that as you use the system, you'll kind of learn like, I no longer want this notification. So it's just important to realize you can always change it, tweak it, but try and get to that point where you're involving your team and you're giving them the heads up that, hey, these notifications are going to fire is what you can expect. And it will lead to a better transition period when you're kind of adopting a new process. The other piece I want to kind of touch on and sort of our core features and the things that are really going to be the easy places to get started is the schedule. And we do not have time today to cover everything that is about the schedule. A fun story about Buildertrend, Taylor knows, is the Buildertrend started as a scheduling tool. This was the heartbeat of the program. So originally it was kind of designed for contractors, and over time we've just taken feedback from our customers and they've continued to add on to it. And I think the big takeaway from the schedule is it is the thing that connects all the elements of the program. So, Taylor mentioned purchase orders earlier. If you're using our pro features, bid package deadlines, selection, some of the more advanced things in the program, they all can tie to this. So we always kind of push people to use the schedule immediately because we know that ultimately the deadlines that are being dictated by the project will change. And therefore, we need everything else that's connected to the schedule to change with it. None of that happens without putting it in place first. So I've left the user profile and I went up to schedule here up at the top of the page and clicked it, and you'll see it'll reload here within my job. Remember, make sure you're in the correct job at the right time. And you'll see I have my schedule already laid out. Now, every schedule has variance in it, and we'll talk a little bit later about how the more you put into Buildertrend, the more you can reuse it. That's really important. So I have a schedule that's set up, but this is construction, and I might need to make changes to the schedule based on timelines and obviously the scope of the project. So even though I had a schedule already established, if I need to add a new schedule item, it's as easy as I click and drag and release, and that's going to open up a new window, and I could say I have a permit phase and go ahead and hit save. Now, when I do that, you'll see it just adds it right there in the schedule. And what's really great about the scheduling feature is we have different views, and it's all preference. Every view in Buildertrend has strengths and has weaknesses. One of the strengths of the month view is it gives you that comprehensive kind of like, here's what you can expect for the next 30 days, but you can't really tell the relationship between excavation and permitting or whatever comes beforehand. And so I like to always point out the Gantt chart where we can really see those relationships and the impact of how things are all tied together. Notice I added this permit phase here, and I can see that there is no connection that's actually occurring within that permit phase. So it's really important to understand that you can link them and you can break those, and once they are linked, they are then predecessors, meaning the impact of me changing one will affect the other. So there's a few different ways to link it up here on the schedule, and I'm just going to show you kind of the way that a lot of users will start to go through this experience. You open up the schedule item that comes in the future, and then you can see down below of the modal here, you have predecessors and links that follow. Predecessors pre, meaning before, and links that follow, obviously, future, what's coming as a result of this. So we'll just go down here and we'll choose this permit as the predecessor to excavation, meaning it comes before, hit save, and then before you know it, once I hit and close out of this window, it's gonna reload, and you will see now that relationship is tied together. The other cool thing is when I hover over it, you can see this little orb or ball hanging off the right-hand side. That also will let me connect things. All I'm doing is clicking and holding, and then I can go and drag and tie things together so that they also have a continuous relationship. That's another really great way to kind of get things all connected. And that's the basic foundation of the schedule. Let's get your items, let's get them all linked, and then you can start getting really fancy and saying, okay, I'm gonna move permitting up a week, and because they're all connected, I just clicked and held and dragged, boom, everything else fell in line from there.
Right.
Anything I'm missing on that, Taylor, as far as things we love about the schedule?
Well, you said it already, but I'm going to reiterate it, that when you tie things together with that move that he just made, all of the other things that we've tied to the schedule, like, all of the tasks that come along with permitting, right? All of the little tasks that your internal users have to do to accomplish the permit, like that will be used as a to-do in our program, but that to-do is linked to the permitting schedule item, so all of those deadlines just moved. So that one simple click actually affected a ton of things in the background, which makes it so powerful.
And it's funny because we'll talk to people who have been with Buildertrend for 3, 4, 5 years, and even some of the most simple foundational features like linking predecessors and linking what Taylor referred to to-dos, they never get to that point. And there's a lot of reasons for that. And so our goal is to kind of get you pointed in the right direction. If you call into our support team, you set up a training, and you can directly reference and say, I watched some web content and I noticed that they were talking about how to make predecessors. Boom. That's a great starting piece that we can really tie things together and make it, take it to that next level sooner rather than later. And we could talk about this all day, so we need to kind of move along here into kind of what are your resources, because it's not just the training, it's not just the web series that we put on. There's all types of ways for you to get the help that you need in order to be successful with Buildertrend. It takes a village even to implement software, right? So we have unlimited training that is included with your subscription fee. And what that means is you can book a training session for anybody on your team, for yourself, and as much as you need with your onboarding specialist or your implementation specialist. Kind of depends on where you're at in your sign-up process with Buildertrend. If you've been with us for a while, you're gonna get a different person who kind of is your main point of contact, but the end goal is all the same. We're all experts in the program here at Buildertrend, and we can answer your questions, and we have a ton of experience talking to all different types of contractors of shapes and sizes, large teams, small teams, big custom home builders, down to specialty contractors who do drywall. You name it, we have a client that does it. That's a lot of great experience that we can provide and insight into your business. Now, with training though, there is also just those situations where I just need to know how to edit the schedule. I don't need to set up a 55-minute training and get into the details and talk about the processes of my business. Call into our support line.
That's right.
Right?
Yes.
And Taylor's a big advocate of our customer support. We include that in our training. You can call us from 8 to 5. Taylor was a customer support specialist. She's now the trainer of our support team, and she can speak to just the value of having someone there on call to get those questions. How many people do you think you talked to in your time in customer support?
I don't, thousands. We are very proud of the work over here on the support department. So yeah, you have your schedules with your consultation, your implementation specialists, and those are for segmented, scheduled piece of time. But we know, like, you're on the go and you get stuck and you need help. We're here. We're here. You can give us a call on the support line and get your answers or your questions answered quickly, and get you back moving and back flowing. So please utilize that support line. We've got thousands of calls a day, so we're ready for you. Yeah,
and the cool thing is you don't need to remember, their number. It's built right into the program. So whenever you're in Buildertrend, I'm just going to hop in here really quick and show it off. Similar to where we filled out the user information, up in the top right-hand corner of the screen, you'll see a question mark. Well, question mark means you have questions. You'll see contact us, live chat, help center, give feedback. If you have suggestions, we'd love to hear it as well. But the core way that people will call us is they'll hit contact us, and you'll see our support line right there, and we're there waiting for you to answer your questions. And you start to develop even relationships with people who call in all the time.
Oh, yeah.
You start to get to know people. And even though they're not a direct trainer, we're based out of Omaha, Nebraska. Everybody you're going to talk to on the phone is located here at our headquarters. It's a pretty special environment and really, really a great experience to kind of get to talk to people day in and day out about how they do their operations, how they do their businesses. If you are inclined though, and you don't want to have to call in, we also have in-program chat. So when you click that live chat option, that pulls up our team who they take turns. So people who are answering the calls, they'll take a shift on chat. And there's also the Buildertrend Learning Academy. And this is one of our new initiatives here at Buildertrend, where we've looked at our core features like we talked about today and given you kind of that self-guided learning experience that in the world today, you're busy. You want to be able to pause videos. You want to be able to send things out. You want to be able to track progress. We've put a ton of resources into building this Buildertrend Learning Academy, which is a little different than our Help Center, which is just a kind of a list of videos and content by feature. The Learning Academy kind of lets you put things in a specific thought of how do I implement this? What are the things I need to follow? What are the features that fit together by role or just by kind of their usefulness? So check out all those resources. Taylor and I are also part of a monthly conference called Buildertrend Online Conference, where we take a lot of what we're covering today and we go even a little bit deeper. It's totally free for you to attend, and is one of those great ways to also see other people's usage. Buildertrend users who are all around the country. In this last BOC, we had people from Australia and London, literally an international conference. It was great.
Well, that's fine.
And then if you feel like you need a little more help, we also have our pro service department, and that's what Taylor referenced. I was an on-site consultant, so I traveled around the country and went to people's businesses and helped them get the software to that next level. And in a lot of cases, our average person doing an on-site consultation, it had been with us for 2 or 3 years. If you're a new user in Buildertrend, though, it makes a lot of sense to make an investment to have a professional come out to you. It's all out like when you have a sub-trade who's building your house. You guys more than likely don't go and do the concrete pour yourself. You sub it out. You can sub us out to come to your office and train your team in person if you're willing to go through that process with us. So tons of options about how to use our resources. And once you've got the basics down, once you've seen the schedule, once you've really gotten into the core daily logs and to-dos and file management, and your desired outcomes are moving around nicely, that's when we get to mastery. Yes. And this is where we go, okay, learning a schedule, I understand what it is, but how do I get the most return on my investment? And the financial features of Buildertrend is really where we're going to see that happen. Things like selections, job costing, getting your subs onboarded. And it will definitely be one of those things that you'll want to do some of the quick wins first and then come back. But one place that I would point to and say that everybody can start doing on the mastery side of things, templates.
Yes.
And Taylor and I have created hundreds of templates in our time.
Oh, yeah.
And it's funny because it's like, you look at Buildertrend, and I referenced this earlier, you don't even realize it, you're already kind of starting to template things. Yeah. So if I'm in program here and I'm looking at this schedule and I want to reuse this schedule, all I have to do is go up to this eye icon in the top left-hand corner of the screen, and then inside the job details, I can click copy to template. And what that does is it takes everything that's within that job, and let's say this is just going to be my master template. I can save it and turn that into a reusable item. So all I've done is basically said this folder in particular, this job folder, take the information so that I can use it in a different place. Whether it's a schedule, a file structure, a to-do list, even a budget that you want to reuse if you're a production builder or somebody who has kind of a standard estimating process. What I love about it is it lives in the account. So if I go up to this drop down here, I can go into my templates menu, and this demo account has a lot of great examples of things that can be templated. It can be your imagination is the limit as far as what can be templated and reused. And that's where we really start to see the value. Buildertrend is a tool to help you save time. And if you're not using templates, then you're not getting you're not getting the most out of what Buildertrend has to offer from a use standpoint. This is the thing that makes your people's lives easier. So I just turn that into a template. And then the next step is once you've kind of gone through and edit your template, and the cool thing is once you learn how to use the program, editing a template works the same way. There's no functionality differences. If anything, a template is a stripped down job. And then on my next job startup, over here on the top, if I hit plus from template, I can boom, move up that detail, add a new start date, and before you know it, I've got everything I need for that project to get going. Taylor, what other things am I missing here?
Yeah, well, you nailed it on the head there. Like the templates is where you really start to gain value and save hours and hours of time for multiple different departments of your company as well. So like you can template an estimate, you can template schedules, to-dos, which are your tasks that come along with every construction job. I will say though, a lot of times that support call that I would get in, people were making like a schedule template, and then they had a separate one for a to-do template and so on. But so when you start that template, think of the whole job as a picture. Like you would have like a kitchen remodel template, and then you'd have like a new home template as well. So it's all in one because everything links to the schedule like we said. So when you import that template, everything falls in very beautifully behind it. So it's a huge time saver.
Yeah, and the other piece with templating, if the next natural step is, okay, I've got my templates, and now I'm ready to start using financials, use the estimate. And that's because the estimate fills so much detail as far as how the project's going to go. But there's a lot to uncover when it comes to your estimating process for us here at Buildertrend. You have to develop what are called cost codes so that they can work appropriately with our system. And then even if you're using QuickBooks or Xero, integrating with that software requires some matching up as far as the terminology of what are items versus cost codes and how it all connects. So when we say master the program, that's what we mean. There are more advanced things. Reach out to us, ask your coach, do the things trust us with your process, because we'll be able to find a way to make it work for you. But there's this other side of mastery of implementation of software, and that has to do with defining processes. And a lot of what my experience was traveling and talking with clients is there's this feeling that we started a company and we're growing, but we have a lot of people who are wearing a lot of different hats. How do we start to define who does what, when they do it? And it really starts with a conversation. I'm serious. Sit down and ask yourself, what do I want my project manager to be doing? What does my office manager really do? And once you define that scope of how do I get my salespeople to talk to my production team and how they work with the office people and then the accounting team, and you start to really put the pieces of the puzzle together, that's when you can look at Buildertrend and say, where does it fit? And so if you haven't really gone through that period of time where you're really evaluating the impact that each role has and what their responsibility should really do, I get it. You're busy. People have different roles. They a lot of times they're just filling where they need it. But the more you can really understand what your company is trying to accomplish and what your people are doing, the more you can really start to fit the program into that mold. And that's where I think a lot of new users struggle, is they think Buildertrend is going to be the thing that tells their company what their people should be doing. And it's actually the other way. It's the company who needs to tell the people, right, here's the defining scope of like what they actually need to be doing at this time.
Exactly.
So it's a lot of times taking an opportunity. We're changing our back-end system.
Right.
This is how we're documenting things in our project. It's also a good time to evaluate,
right,
what are my people doing?
Grab some donuts and some breakfast pizza and get in a room and like you said, define a process. And it's something you really needed to communicate with your team about to really get the program off of the ground. If you just buy this and then you start looking at the app and you're like, oh, what can it do? No, we need to sit down, figure out what our issues are, define what we want our SOPs to be, our standard operating procedures, and get one step at a time, right? What do you, as an owner, what do you want your project manager to be able to tell you? Or what do you, instead of them having to call you and tell you, what do you want them to show you by you just logging into Buildertrend?
Yeah, Taylor, that's a great point, a good transition to another piece that we always kind of talk to new users about, which is how do you build a culture around a piece of technology? It's really easy to send that text message, to call someone and ask them, hey, where is this, or what happened? And the reality is Buildertrend is the solution to a lot of that back and forth, to the breadcrumb trail, to all those things, if you can get people to actually use it. And we see that all the time where the vision's there. How do I actually get people to look at it? And you have to find ways to extrinsically motivate people at the start so that transitions to intrinsic motivation. When we think of extrinsic motivation, I've seen builders who will do little things that seem small, but the team buys into it. Hey, whoever puts the most daily logs into the system this week, I'm buying a case of beer.
Yeah.
I'm going to get a $100 drawing for the guy in a month who does the most to-dos completed or has the least amount of to-dos outstanding.
Day of PTO.
Yeah, a day off. Well, I don't know if you can do that in construction. We'll figure it out, right? But there's just a bunch of different ways to keep people to engage with them, to give them, it may seem small, but it shows that this isn't going away. This is something that is going to become the part of our system, and that's when habits start to change.
Right.
You can always take the rewards away, and I know that seems a little odd that you have to like use a positive reinforcement to get people to use it, but it works. And even that's how humans think. That's how they're motivated, is they want to be rewarded for something. And if you're a traditional construction company who isn't sure that technology is really needed in your business, there's tons of things that Buildertrend has done to evaluate the impact of having a software. You're more efficient. you have easier communication, your clients are happier, all these things. And it comes down to just getting the people to use it. And if it is as silly as, hey, give them something to reward them, great. And then you just draw the line in the sand eventually. And if you get that phone call, hey, do you have this? Did you check Buildertrend?
Yeah.
Did you look in the system?
Or, hey, I'm busy. Can you put that in Buildertrend? Right. So.
And eventually, that's where 6-7 months down the line, the phone calls seem to stop.
Right.
They are not as reliant on one person. And I'll never forget, just going off of that, when we talk about like committing completely to the process. I once went to a builder who did everything for their company. And I was working with the selections manager, and she said something that really changed my perspective, which is businesses are not about people. They're about systems. They're about processes. Someday if that owner decides to retire or something happens to him and he can't come to work, what happens to the company? You're putting your employees' livelihoods at risk by not having these things defined. And so we always try to reiterate to people that businesses are systems. Businesses should not be reliant on a single person. And if you aren't outlining things so that the system can run that are independent of that person, you're putting yourself at risk to where you won't be as capable to be a long-standing company that you might want. So what we recommend to start is crown your BT champion. You have your processes now. You need a point of contact. You need somebody who will be the one who will kind of help put out fires, help answer questions, be the thing that leads the extrinsic motivation, really pushes the team to buy in, holds them accountable. And everybody at an office seems to have that one person who's just maybe even a little more technologically savvy than the others.
Definitely.
And they're a good fit for that. But it's not uncommon to see the bookkeeper be the BT champion, because or the office manager or the project managers. That comes down to your desired outcomes in your individual business. But we really encourage you to find a person who can be the one to get the rest of the team to buy in and work with Buildertrend. And then we'll come through and provide the training. But if you get the person who can facilitate it, that goes a long way as well. And that is going to wrap up episode 1 of our new user webisode series. Hope you'll join us for episode 2. Thank you so much. Once again, I'm Zach Wojtowicz.
Taylor Henne.
Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks.